How's it going, guys? Sit back, relax, grab some tea or coffee or something, and prepare for potential unmitigated disaster. We're doing a very different kind of video today. I asked you guys for the biggest challenges and kind of things that are heavy on your heart, your mind right now that you're struggling with. And I wanted to offer my 2 cents, give my perspective, help if I could in any way that I could. So that's what we're going to do today. I picked a handful of these submissions. There were over 200. So thank you guys to everybody who poured out their selves and gave their authenticity and gave their time to these submissions. Thank you. I really do appreciate you doing that. And I'm sorry that I won't be able to answer everybody's question. I did try to pick themes and kind of aggregate what I think would be the most helpful to the most people. Because there are some that were like, too idiosyncratic that might work better for a one-on-one type of setting. So I apologize if I didn't get to your question specifically, or you feel like I didn't do an adequate job covering what you wanted to cover. That leads me to, if this is something you guys like, this was proposed as maybe a monthly thing. So you can always ask in the next month and maybe I'll cover it then. So I don't ever really ask this or do this, but if you do like this in particular, when you watch this video and you're like, I like this, I got something out of it, leave me a like or a comment or subscribe or something that shows me that I should continue this, because this is an experiment. This could go horribly wrong. You guys could hate this. This could tank. This could be terrible, and we'll leave it as a one and done. But I need to know from you if that's the case or if you want to see this again. So without further ado, like I say, grab that coffee, grab that tea, do something to just get yourself cozy, because we're probably going to be here for a minute. First question is an aggregate of a few, kind of going over heartbreak and betrayal. The question I'm going to read says, I got cheated on throughout the entire duration of my relationship, allegedly, and it broke me, and I really just want to know how to go on with life after this. I know he was in the wrong and I did nothing wrong, but I want to be free from this man. First of all, it's just that sucks. Like, that absolutely sucks, and we have to acknowledge that being cheated on sucks. Okay, there's no other word for it. I was cheated on back in high school. It is a special kind of pain. Like, it is a unique type of hurt to fall for somebody, right? We all know that romantic feeling and that romanticized idea of love. To fall into that kind of safety and bubble or cocoon where you're like in this relationship, and to have it crumble and fall apart in that manner, that is devastating, dude. It's truly a painful experience. So I absolutely feel for you and everything you're feeling and the grieving that you're going through. I feel for you, because that was a tough time for me. Which brings me to some of the stuff that I want to offer from the other side of that, having gotten through that. The first thing is, when I first got cheated on and things like that and felt betrayed, I was pointing the finger at myself. I was trying to look into, what did I do that drove this person away? Is it because I'm weird? Is it because I was too clingy, or maybe I said something? There can be a tendency to really want to put the onus on us. But at the beginning of this, don't be thinking that. Be realizing that this is a reflection on that individual. This is something that they did. This is on them. It does not reflect you or your value or what you're worth at all. Because it took me a long time to feel like I was even somebody deserving of love. After I was betrayed in that manner, I was like, dude, this person, they knew me so well, like better than I thought anybody knew me. So they must have, saw the real me, realized, oh, I suck, and got out of there. So I really put the onus on me. And I'm glad that you're saying that you know that that's not the case. But there were a few that read in a manner that said, what did I do? Or, things that pointed the finger back at them. But this is all on the cheater. And then as far as the language you used here of wanting to be free from that guy, this is a good important point, man, is that you get to decide that moment. when you can kind of let go of the idea that this guy controls your peace in any manner, when you can detach from that, that's the moment you become free. And it's such an exciting moment. It's such a huge moment when after that breakup, after that cheating, after the betrayal, you know, we do spend a lot of time thinking, at least I did, you know, like, how can I fix this? Maybe I can get him back or this or that. When that moment clicks of like, you know what? This person didn't choose me. They're not worth it. I want to choose somebody that chooses me, somebody that wants to be with me. I don't need to make this Olympic effort to try to get someone to like me or love me or be with me. Because if I, you know, someone out there will actually choose me, and that's what I want. And if not, I'm going to choose myself every time. It's a freeing thing. It's a freeing thing. So that's some of the stuff I wanted to talk about. But yeah, there is a special kind of hurt in losing that relationship, because a thing that we do often is we put our identity into things like our profession or our relationships. And when those things crumble, I call them shaky bases, because they are not stable. They are not from within. And when we put ourselves on these, in our identity and our sense of self and our self-worth on these things, they're bound to slip, shake, break away. And then we're left feeling like just an immense pain and an immense confusion at where to go next. But yeah, all this to say, this guy does not get to make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt, I believe, right, said that. You are in control now. You get to move forward, and I'm sorry that you had to go through this, but I'm very excited to see kind of the beauty and joy that comes from you getting to the other side of this. Because I know for me, I learned some of the most about myself and my own strength after getting through my situation like that. Next one is, how do I get myself to read more? All right, there was a lot of questions about reading and picking up more books. So I wanted to talk about that with a few different pieces of advice. The first one came when I tried to get into reading, and I remember asking my friend's mom, who's like the most prolific reader I personally have ever known. I asked them, like, what is their advice, or what are some books that they recommend? And they said something that was like just a weight off my shoulders, and it kind of snowballed into some of the best reading advice that I've ever come across. They said, give yourself permission to just not finish books if you don't like them. And I was like, oh, whoa, that's wild. So I can just like read 3 chapters and 5 chapters. I could read 16 chapters. I can be at any point in the book and just be like, nah, I don't want to. I'm like, yeah, life's too short. Don't stick around with a book you don't like. Who cares? And it was so freeing, because I feel like we do have so much pressure of like, oh, I have to finish every book I start, or I have to read so many books. You know, this person's read this many books. I haven't read this author. None of that matters. None of it matters, dude. Give yourself permission to abandon books. Juggle books is another one. Like, read multiple books at once. I think that's so helpful. Throw all these strict, rigid rules away and just start chipping away at pages here and there. That's the thing as well, is like the rigidity makes us think, oh, if I'm going to be a reader, then I have to read 30 minutes a night, or I have to read 3 chapters a night. You can read 3 sentences. You can read 30 pages. You could read 5. Who cares? You know what I mean? You will just pick up this habit of reading. Read for a few minutes here, a few minutes there. That's what I say, is just drop all the rigidity. Drop all the rules. Drop thinking I have to do this or that. Just enjoy it. Books are supposed to be fun and entertaining, or maybe they're nonfiction. They're supposed to be insightful, but they're not supposed to be a pain. They're not supposed to be some chore. And it might feel like that at first, but you can build that muscle up. And you can do that by doing like the equivalent of little baby push-ups with like your knees on the ground and stuff like that. Like, you can build up to it. Just read a few pages, read a few sentences. It may sound stupid. It's not. And you probably won't just read the few sentences. You'll continue, right? You'll get hooked in. But just give yourself permission to be lackadaisical about it. You know what I mean? Just be loosey-goosey with it. Who cares? And then positive self-sabotage is one that I would mention here, but you can use this for anything really. But positive self-sabotage for me is like putting a book next to the coffee maker, or making sure there's a book in my car, kind of setting myself up for scenarios where I can quickly grab it and I don't have to go out of my way to try to find it or anything like that. It's there for me. You know what I mean? And that's why I love the pulp paperback kind of pocketbook size. That's where all my books are in that size, because I want to throw one in my back pocket and just have one there when I'm going throughout my day, because you'll find little pockets of time where you can just read 2-3 pages and it's fine. You do that, you're going to build up and you're going to read more than you've been reading. All right, the next one is the fear of failing after trying so much and giving it all you could. This is a good one. This is a big one. So the fear of failing after trying so much and giving all that you could. So in this scenario, it's like, it's asking what, it's almost asking, what is the point of trying when I could just fail in the end, and it might not work out how I want it to. This was something that I think I was really fixated on as a younger man. This idea of outcome and kind of being obsessed with it, and feeling an immense sense of pressure on making sure I got the right outcome. And it really paralyzed me in a lot of ways and kept me from being as, productive or free as maybe I would have been if I didn't have such a profound fear and such a fidelity to perfectionism. And so the philosophy that kind of I built around that idea and that concept that helped me move forward was a philosophy embodied in this statue called the Boxer at Rest. And I have it tattooed right here on my arm. And the tattoo shows a boxer who's seated and he's looking up and to the side like that. And one of the interpretations of this sculpture is that he had lost the fight. And what you're seeing there is him sitting down after the fight. He's kind of beaten up, scarred up and stuff like that. And he's looking up after having just faced a loss. But he's looking up. His head's up. He's feeling okay. He's held his dignity together through this loss. And the reason for that is he knows that he showed up and did every single thing that he could, right? In the process, what he was attached to, being values-driven and process-driven, those two things allowed him to keep his head up high no matter the outcome. And that's kind of how I'm trying to choose to live, and the philosophy that I choose to embody is like, we really can't control the outcome. That is outside of our circle of control. I can't not tell you if I'm going to fail or succeed. I can't tell you if this video is going to do well or if it's going to absolutely tank. Like, there's things outside of our control. But did I do what I needed to do? Did I live in congruence with the values that I wanted to live into? It's these kind of questions that'll get you through that fear of failing after trying so much and giving it all you could. Because when you get to that, I gave it all I could, I tried so hard, and you're self-satisfied, like you are internally happy, then no outcome matters. No outcome makes a difference. And this is something that it's difficult, and it's something to always strive for, but it's absolutely the philosophy I take, is the process and the values are in my control. That's what I need to focus on. And if I can be okay with that, and if I can do that how I need to do it, then outcomes be damned, my guy. I'm okay. All right. How to stop overthinking. Do you have some advice about writing or how to start writing? The quote that really just took off helped me take off my writing career as far as like producing works and actually finishing manuscripts was, get it written, don't get it right. Again, going back to that fidelity of perfectionism, you see that massively with writers, with creatives in general. It's like every sentence, every word is micromanaged. It's double, triple, quadruple checked, and you're like, nah, it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And so that's the first thing I like to tell people is it's difficult, and as simple as it sounds, it's one of the most impossible things to do, but you just have to get it written, and don't worry at all about how it is. But honestly, if you can pull that band-aid off, if you can do that, if you can finish drafts, then you're golden. And of course, I think process goals at first for that are important. We talked about process a second ago with the boxer arrest. The process being pick like 500 words a day or 1,000 words a day. That's what I did when I first started out. I don't need those goals anymore. I can just, write at my own pace and stuff. But when I couldn't trust myself to do that, I made sure to put down on a checklist every day to do 1,000 words a day. And you do that for 10 days, you're gonna have 10,000 words. You're gonna do that for 20 days, you're gonna have 20,000 words. You know what I mean? Like if you can remove all the thinking and overthinking and all that and just do the work on that, then it just happens for you. And you'll be amazed and surprised at what that does for your mind once you open that up and that gap kind of closes of, oh, I always wanted to write something till I actually did. So yeah, just show up, make yourself do the work. Sorry, it's not that interesting of advice, but I'm going to go straight forward and ask the question, how do you cope with how unfair life can be? Great question. I love this question. I love this question because so true. Life is brutal, dude. You know me with my heart condition, you know the situation you're in, you know stuff going on in the world. It's brutal. It's tough out there, and that's a very fair question to ask. It's easy to look at that and say, what the hell, man? You know what I mean? And so what I say to that, and the philosophy again that I've kind of worked with is, I think this comes from Buddhism, but it's called dukkha. And I'm probably going to butcher the concept, the word, everything, but stick with me on the concept. It's this idea of the wobbly wheel, that life is like this wobbly wheel. And we're on this path with a super wobbly, broken wheel that's going up and down. And we need to understand that. This acknowledgement that life is brutal and unfair, that is an important realization. It's an important thing to embed into your philosophy, that yeah, that's how it's going to be. Because if I'm on this bumpy road with the broken tires and stuff, and I have somehow convinced myself that it's a smooth road with really perfect tires, then I'm going to be livid, dude, when I'm hitting all these rocks and bumps, and I'm just going to be, why? I'm going to be upset. You know what I mean? I'm going to be, what is going on here? But if I can remember that it's a bumpy off-road ride and my wheel is busted and I'm just doo-doo, then I'm ready for it, and my mind is prepared for it. So I think it's very important to not shy away from or become ignorant to the brutal reality of the world. It is very unfair. And the way that I deal with that is by acknowledging that that's how it is, and then being so very grateful for the pockets of humanity and joy and happiness and connection. It makes me, it's the cliche quotes of like, you don't know how bright it can get without the darkness, and that kind of thing. Like, it is really, it's what makes all the good stuff so freaking good. If you didn't have the unfairness of this world to contrast it against, you wouldn't realize how freaking great you have it. You wouldn't realize how many great, wonderful things there are. I have all these reasons to just be livid and annoyed and mad at life and mad at God and this and that. But me, every night, on purpose, whether I want to or not, I just start listing the stuff that I'm super grateful for, that I'm super happy about, that I'm super, like I said, just grateful to have in my life. Because you're right, life is unfair. I don't have a ticket in my back pocket that says I'm going to keep it tomorrow. None of it. All right. These days, I am facing a problem of constantly comparing myself with others in terms of things such as status and looks. Same. This is an ongoing issue for me as well. This is something that in my own counseling experience, as far as like me being the counselee, the client, my counselor always brings up what he's noted as the 11th commandment, which is, thou shalt not compare myself to others. because I've struggled with that big time. I'm much better with it now. Not to say I don't have my moments, right? I'm human. I slip up. I'm imperfect. I do make comparisons. I do let it derail me from time to time. But I can say that back in high school, this was like one of the driving forces behind my crippling insecurity and my ineffectiveness as a person, is that I compared so greatly to others. I muddled kind of admiration and looking up to somebody. I muddled that with kind of a prescription and thinking, oh, I'm missing the mark. Does that make sense? I was this round peg trying to fit into a square hole situation. Like, I really thought I have to be like them or else I'm not worthy. I'm not what I'm supposed to be. And the really tough one was my dad. Like, my dad was this very strong, athletic, like masculine dude, and I was not that. I won best dressed in high school. You know what I mean? Like, I was not like my dad. But I would compare to my dad at my age and be like, what is wrong with me? And this is where comparison gets just everything so wrong, is that, like, that person is that person, and they can only be that person to the best of their abilities. You're only ever going to be a second-rate version of them if you try to be. What you can be is a first-rate version of you. What you can be is a unique, irrepeatable miracle, right? That you are. And that's why it's important to compare only to one person, and that is you. It's got to be you versus you. It's got to be the man in the mirror. It's got to be just pushing forward out of the love and admiration for who you know you could be, playing off your strengths. Comparison, like they say, is the thief of joy, because the person writing the script in that scenario is all your insecurities. They're going to be heightening everything great about this person and diminishing everything good about you. So with comparison, I would say that you need to understand how irrational it is and kind of unfair it is of a thing to do to yourself. You're trying to fit a square peg in, you get the point. You're trying to fit a circle into a square. It's not going to work. You got to be you. And until you do that, you're going to feel less than. You're going to operate as less than. You won't be as effective as a person if you're trying constantly to measure up to somebody else's standard. All right. Do you have any advice for people who are in their 20s? What's your opinion about loneliness and artificial intelligence? Thank you in advance. Thank you, my friend. Two really good questions, two really big questions. First one, for someone in their 20s, and this is really for anybody, but a big thing I like to mention is anchoring to morals and characters. Going back to that boxer at rest thing I talked about, if you have the values that you know you want to live by, that's a massive, massive, massive starting point. It's important to kind of ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be, rather than, what do I want to do, right? What kind of person do I want to be? Because you can carry, courage, honesty, whatever values you want to hold dear, you can carry those into a job as a plumber or a bricklayer or an IT guy. Like, it doesn't matter. You can plug and play with the values. So for a person in their 20s, a younger person trying to find themselves, I think it's all about finding the values that are important to you, finding the character and person that you want to be, the morals that you want to live in line with. That's the important first step. And then with the artificial intelligence and loneliness, like, that is I'm too stupid to answer something like that. I feel like when it comes to anything tech related, I'm stoops, okay? I'm not the guy. But I will say, with the word artificial in there, I would not use personally AI, like an artificial intelligence, to help me with my loneliness as far as like a companion, because it's artificial right there in the word, like right there in the title. So I feel like it would be a hollow recreation. It would be a hollow recreation of it. And I feel like a part of my soul would always know and feel that. I can't deceive myself that much. You know what I mean? I've tried to deceive myself. I'm pretty great at deceiving myself, but there is a level where that voice in the back of your head that can stay at bay for a while, stays at bay for a while, but then it comes forward and it's like, no, man, something's not right. I think it would dig me into a deeper hole of loneliness. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, I would not be using AI for companionship or to help with loneliness. Um, I think it would just sink me deeper into it. But what do I know? All right, I'm scared that I'll feel unaccomplished when I'm older because I feel that no matter what I achieve, there's still so much more that could be done, and I feel like a failure in my own eyes no matter what I do. Dude, same, right? And I'm being facetious here, but this is absolutely something I deal with. Me and my friend Nathaniel Hummel, who I do the Men's Adventure Fiction podcast with, him and I talk about this all the time. It's known as the hedonic treadmill. You can look it up. This is a thing that people deal with. It's this concept that, like, and we feel it. It's not like something we're like, oh, the hedonic treadmill. We're just explaining it in terms of like, oh, dude, we hit these numbers. That's cool. Why do I immediately want a higher number? How come we said we were going to be pumped when we did this, but now we're like, yeah, but it's not this. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing this in real time. We're dealing with this in real time. It's difficult to get a manage on that. And this is something that I too I'm actively working on. This is why the concept of a why and having a deeper meaning matters so much, and why the values-based living matters so much. Because that's kind of how I've been contending with it. It's like, okay, I've acknowledged and come to terms with the fact that my dingus brain up here is going to always just be like, yeah, but you could do more though. What about better though? And I think that's good to some extent. Like, having ambition, being somebody who wants more, I've got nothing wrong with that. I see nothing wrong with that. I want to feel motivated, and I want to feel like I'm climbing that hill and I'm trying to do better and I'm trying to be more. I like that. But what I don't like is those feelings that come with it. Like, I feel like a failure in my own eyes is what the guy or girl wrote here. That's not what I want. I need to know, again, boxer arrest, right? You can tell why I have it tattooed. It's a big deal in my life. But it's this idea of like, man, am I holding to my values? Am I holding to the character that I want to be? And that has to matter the most. And I cannot let anything supersede it. And it is a challenge, and it takes kind of reassessing and having people in your life call you out on it. It has you calling yourself out. You're gonna slip up and you're gonna be like, oh, I'm a failure, I can't believe that. But you have to fight against that. You have to challenge that thought, and you have to be more intentional about celebrating the things that you have accomplished. Because people like you, people like me, people who resonate with this question, we accomplish a lot. On the day-to-day, we're accomplishing a lot, and we don't give it a single second. We think it's baseline. You know what I mean? If I get my run and my workout in, I get 1,000 words written, and I do all these things, it's baseline. Who cares? Shut up. Do more. That's what I'm saying to myself. Instead, I need to more often. I integrate it every once in a while, but like I said, I'm a person involved in this as well, learning, growing. I'm not on the other side. I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying to implement more time where I acknowledge the fact that I'm doing well, that I have accomplished a lot in that day, and that I worked diligently, that I wasn't lazy. Like, I'm trying to call myself out in the good ways as well. Because we are all in our ears about when we miss a workout. We're all in our ears about when we ate the wrong thing. Why don't you get in your ear about how great you did the other day, about how well you handled that phone call, about how well that meeting with your boss went? You know what I mean? Call yourself out for the good stuff too, and just realize that this hedonic treadmill thing is going to be a part of it. It's going to be something you're contending with. And so get into that lifelong battle of looking yourself in the eyes, going to the man in the mirror and saying, am I living with purpose? Am I living out my why? Then what am I complaining about? I'm feeling good. And of course, there's always a next level. Of course, I could always make another dollar. Of course, I could always gain another follower. Of course, this and that. Can't let that be what you're chasing. You cannot let that be what you're chasing, because it will exhaust the heck out of you. All right. How do you find your people when you don't even know who those people are? The feeling when you know the current crowd you hang out with aren't right for you, but you don't feel like you fit in any others. This is a good one. I feel like I'm not gonna say all I want to say on this, and I'm probably gonna have to do like a full-on video about this. But for me, the first thing coming to mind on this is like the first key to finding your people is finding you, right? That makes sense. Like you gotta know who you are. You gotta be secure and happy with who you are. That's really when you genuinely find your people, I think. And so the first thing is all about finding yourself and being secure in yourself, and then putting yourself out there. Because connection, it absolutely takes effort, it takes discomfort, but it doesn't have to be this miserable, this uncomfortable process of just forcing yourself to meet friends. That's not what I'm getting at. It's more so like you're exploring your interests. You're living life to the fullest. Putting yourself out there. Like I'm just going to give you a very idiosyncratic example for me. I got into writing. I got into these specific kind of authors like Louis L'Amour and stuff like that. I start talking about that on social media, and I didn't have a following at the time. I didn't have. It was just a small account, and I'm just talking about these authors. I go to something called Pulp Fest that's near me, which is a celebration of those kind of stories and those kind of authors. I'm meeting people, and then I connect with Nathaniel, who I mentioned earlier, and we do the show, and we've made this Discord that came from it. We've met tons and tons of people. We started Veritas Entertainment. We're making a feature film now, all because of just kind of exploring my curiosities, being like, I really like Louis L'Amour books. Oh, they make conventions talking about these kind of books. Well, that's cool. Post about it. Oh, this guy likes that stuff too. We're talking in the DMs. It's just about exploring who you are, knowing who you are, and connecting with others, and having that conscious effort to put yourself out there and to be receptive to people. And you really can. It might take time. Your people aren't going to come just like that. And you might have some failed attempts where you're like, I thought that guy was cool. He's not very cool. You might have that. And you will have that. Absolutely. Right. Going back to the Duca, like expect that. But just see it as finding yourself more than anything. And the people will come. You will find your people, and put yourself in those scenarios. Maybe you're a gym guy. Maybe you love NASCAR. Like, I don't know. But put yourself in those environments. Talk to those people. I hope that helps. I don't know. All right. I am a student living in a fairly backward third world country, and I wanted to ask if it's justified for kids like me to romanticize the foreign dream. After watching others live that life, I just keep having the deep, uncomfortable feeling knowing it would never be me. And I feel for you, and I'm uncertain how to answer this question. I feel, because I'm obviously I don't know the kind of place you live. I don't know this kind of situation. I've never been in this kind of situation. But what I can say, as we got done saying earlier, is like comparison is no good. It's a comparison trap. It's not good for anybody, and so it's not good in your condition, in your circumstance. It's not justified. It's not something that I would be doing, because it's rooted in not truth, but again, it's rooted by insecurity. The person holding the pen in that scenario, writing this narrative in your head, is your most insecure self. It's heightening everything about the foreign dream, and it's diminishing everything about what you have. It's not truthful. It's completely lopsided from your own skewed perspective on it. Just like my comparison towards someone else is a skewed perspective on it. I see a little bit of a highlight reel. I see a little bit of what's on the surface, but there's so much more intricate stuff going on that we don't see. So you can't let yourself fall into that comparison trap simply because it's so it's invalid. It's not as good as you think it is, and you're going to be making it worse for yourself. So it's got to be, again, you versus you. It's got to be, what can you do in your situation with what you do have available to make the best life for you? Because yeah, looking over grass is always greener kind of thing. Everybody can do that everywhere, and certainly there are people who have much more advantages than me, much more advantages than you. Like there are situations that we can look at and be like, why? Back to the unfairness of life. But we have to play the hand that we were dealt, right? I would really like to not have a heart condition. I love fitness. I love boxing. You know how much I would love to just be like a fighter or something like that? But I'm literally not allowed to to fight or anything like that because of the heart condition. There's stuff I've had to let go of. There's stuff that I've had to just realize is never going to happen for me. But that doesn't mean I can't have happiness, that I can't have fulfillment, that I can't have joy. All these external things, we think they're going to make us so happy. We think they're going to be such an important factor, and we assign so much meaning to them. But truly, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, right, people wouldn't trade a thing just to wake up tomorrow. You know what I mean? They wouldn't trade a thing if it meant they could have another day. For those who, are still happy and fulfilled. Like if your life, you're breathing, you got people around you, you're socially connected, you got way more than you realize. You know what I mean? So the comparison thing isn't going to help. And it's not helpful, and it's not justified. So I hope that answers that. I don't know. What's your perspective on hope? Because hope is what gives humanity purpose, even though in the end, it's what will make them disappointed too. Similar to nihilism, why should they live when they will die too? Why should they hope when they get disappointed too eventually? What's your thoughts? I'm very eager to hear it. Thank you. So yeah, I choose to believe in hope. It is a conscious choice for me to choose that, because the ideals, right? Those ideals that I write about in my books with Noah Redford, like he's an archetype, he's an ideal, he's way better than anybody, like a Superman kind of thing. I mean, he doesn't have superpowers, but that concept of like Superman and what he represents, that kind of optimism and that kind of idealism, that's what fuels my best behaviors and my best attitudes. It's that unrealistic ideal that really brings me to my best version. So I choose every day to believe in that and to fall into that camp rather than nihilism, because what that breeds in me is something totally different. It's something that's not constructive. It's something that's not beneficial to me or those around me. So yeah, I believe in hope, but it's a conscious choice, because it is just as delusional to be hopeful as it is to be a nihilist. I think it's like, we don't know, right? We're all just dropped here and we don't know what we're doing. So I don't think any answer is right or wrong. I always say this all the time, like, you have to believe what you want to believe, and you got to think the way that you think. You can't just take what I think and that's okay, and I can't just take what you think and that's okay. Like, we gotta do what's right for us in these kind of things. So for me, I choose hope. Is self-hatred all bad? In my lifetimes, I have hated myself the most, and has always led me to the best growth and motivation to change. It's hard for me to love myself because I'm afraid if I love my flaws, I won't change for the better. I prefer to hate myself because then I make more efforts to better myself. In simple, I fear that self-love equals stagnation and self-hate equals change, and I'd always rather change. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense right there on the surface, right? When you're explaining it, it tracks. Like, there is a over coddling of the mind that we can do, where it's like, no, you're good, and then that can lead to stagnation. But the reason I've kind of pulled, because let me get personal for a second. Like, this resonates with me because this was absolutely me. Going back to those comparison days, the looking at my dad and being like, why is that not me? I worked out a lot and got into boxing a lot and all these things. And I was driven by a self-hatred. And that is what got me out of the bed in the morning. That's what got me on these super strict diets. That's what pushed me in 2 hour, 3 hour workouts. Like, that's what I did. It was self-hatred that pushed me. And yeah, obviously I got results in some sense on like a physical manner, but fullness wise, a wholeness wise, I was not that. You know what I mean? I was miserable. I was insecure. I was cranky. I was not fulfilled. I was not my best version. And I think what I came to realize, what I came to understand, what I do now is it's the realization that it's not black or white. You don't have to be on the self-hatred growth train or the self-compassion stagnation train. Like, there is some balance here. There is a middle road you can take. I think of it like a captain or a coach. And I ask you, what kind of captain do you want to go with? Do you want one that berates you and tears you down? Like, how do you want that guy to speak to you? Of course, both captains need to keep order. They need to keep discipline. They need to make sure you do what you have to do. But one of them can speak from a place of love and kindness and say, dude, this is okay. This is not you. You are not getting your notes done in time. You are not calling your loved ones. You're being off. You need to fix that. There's that approach, and then there's you're a piece of garbage. Well, you're a terrible person. Well, all you care about is yourself, you lazy scumbag. One of those is gonna make me feel a lot worse, and I'm gonna be angry, and I might do a little bit more to try to break out of that self-hatred. Okay, yeah. But on the whole, I need a good. I want to take the ride with a good captain who just cares about me and sees the potential in me. That's what you got to do. You're the steersman of your own life, and you can speak to yourself in a manner that still holds yourself accountable, still says, here, this is what you need to get done, and you are capable of doing that. So do that. Don't cut corners, and you can do that without having like this deep resentment of yourself, because a deep resentment and self-hatred, you and I both know. I mean, just saying that out loud, you know that's not good. Like, that's not beneficial in the long run. So yeah, I think keep the concept of I want to push, I don't want to be stagnating, and realize it's not so black and white. You can keep yourself accountable while coming from a place of love and realizing, you know what, I want to do these things because I believe in my potential. I want to do these things because I believe there's an ideal within me that's higher, that I can reach, that I can strive for, and I'm not going to accept less. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that makes sense too. This next one says, I'm a 23-year-old graduate of college recently, and though I was very happy as a child, now as an adult, I'm completely lost. I don't know who I am, where I want to be, or what I really want. I try literally anything to fill the void, video games, movies, etc. Nothing really works at all. Every once in a while, I just doze off empty. What is my purpose? Who am I? Questions repeating in my head over and over. I am tired. For this, the first thing I want to say is that this is super, super normal, especially stuff you're saying here, like you just graduated. Transition periods, guys, in life are some of the most difficult times ever. Just point blank, end of discussion. Transition periods are some of the toughest times, and you really see a lot of really sad things happen when people are getting out of school or getting out of the military. These transition periods have devastating effects on people. So just first off, know that this is absolutely kind of that Dukkha principle. This is to be expected. This is a part of the period of time in life that you are at. It's very, very common. And so what I would do is switch into kind of an exploration mode that I mentioned earlier. Focus on experimenting and finding out who you are and what drives you, what fires you up. Like, it might be a slow process. Like you said, things aren't the way they used to be. That's okay. Try new things. Just explore and take some of that pressure off of yourself the best that you can, and realizing this stage of life that you're in. Take the pressure off as much as you can and talk to people, right? Because isolation breeds nothing good in these types of situations. Talk to others, be connected with others, and you will start to see more about yourself. You'll learn more about who you are while having the support and the care of other people. So switch to exploration mode, take the pressure off yourself a bit, and please talk to other people. I'm not saying you have to go get a counselor. It's nice to have an objective third party person that you can just kind of like unload on, but talk to a friend, or talk to any professors that you liked. You can always reach out to them, or stuff like that. I don't know. Find somebody to talk to. And just, again, to reiterate, you are young and you are in a tough time. That's not the end of the road. If you play this tape out, you have no idea how great things could be, how much you will discover about yourself, because I was there, man. And when I graduated high school, like I said, that was around the time I got cheated on, and I had this big existential crisis, and I was thinking of ending everything for myself because life felt so meaningless. I felt like such a fool, such an idiot. I had nothing to offer. Meanwhile, the world was kind of a cruel, nasty place to me, because I couldn't find friends. I wasn't good at anything in my opinion. Like, I didn't think I had any skills or anything to offer. So I can resonate with that feeling of just being so lost. And the movies, like, that hit me deep, where I would just watch movies every day in my parents' basement, and just like, those were my friends, was just these movies that I would watch on repeat. And I thought my life was so small and empty and bound to go nowhere. I was freaking wrong. So give yourself an opportunity to be very wrong in this situation, and keep fighting, my friend. All right. All right. I think I've posted before, but not sure that went through. How do you with lust in the mind? Not porn, not masturbation or anything, like just feeling a bit lustful. Dare I say, perverted in the mind. I don't like thinking like this, but I find myself in the mind state. I don't really like it that I see people that way. Don't really know how come up with the words. Thanks for the opportunity to let me air this out. Even typing it out feels better. First thing I would note is, this is why I tell people to journal or go to counseling or just talk to people in general. Getting stuff off your freaking chest is helpful. It's just good to get just to say some of the stuff that is just in here circling. It's so good to just, thank goodness. So that's one. And the next thing, this is going to be a brief one. This is just a concept that I find very helpful. I don't know where it comes from or who to attribute it to. Sorry. But essentially, stuff like lust, or really insert any unwanted thought or kind of intrusive thought, treat them like birds overhead. Like, birds can fly overhead. It's very natural. It's going to happen. These thoughts are going to come by. So don't harp on that. Don't get caught up on birds going over your head. But do not let them build a nest, right? Does that make sense? Does that track? The birds are going to fly over. That's natural. Don't let them nest. Don't give them a place to stay. Don't offer them a home. Don't sit with that too long. Don't play those tapes out. Don't follow that trail. Let the birds go overhead. Don't let them build that nest. My man. All right. I've had personal demons, so to speak, weighing on me, down ever since I was in high school, and now I'm 34. Low self-esteem and highly critical of myself. I bury myself in work and take care of my parents as they are older. I've noticed myself drink to numb the demons, even though the next day I feel the weight even heavier than before. It's this constant cycle that I've realized I need to face it head on. I feel so worn out and heavy. How do you take the stand and fight to make the journey of life easier? Well, I think the first thing that I would say is that if you're going to stand and fight, you got to know the enemy you're fighting here. And it looks like the enemy in this story is that voice in your head. You talked about low self-esteem and being highly critical of yourself. You cannot take those hurtful things that you tell yourself, the hurtful things that voice in your head spews at you. You cannot take that as gospel truth. You're using this alcohol right now as this off switch for that inner critic, and that is who the enemy is, and that's who I think I would be focusing on, is the self-esteem, is the way you speak about yourself, that narrative you've built about who you are, and try to challenge some of those beliefs. Push back against some of those assumptions. We often put too much credit, put too much stock into our thoughts. Our thoughts are not facts, right? They are just, they're thoughts. They're what would you call them? Not experiments. They're theories. They're like hypotheses or whatever. You can challenge them. You can push back against them. And the first thing I would say as a challenge, as like a pushback, is to build your strength, dude. I mean, you said how long you've been doing this. You've been surviving this for how long, which shows that you are so much stronger than you're probably giving yourself credit for. The stuff you have dealt with all of this on your back, man, that shows your strength. That is not something to take lightly, man. You have incredible strength within you, and you are already fighting on the daily. So I think you're well equipped to go in there and to start pushing back against this inner self-critic, this enemy within. And you're worth it, dude. I mean, you have a great heart. You can tell from the stuff you said here. It's gonna be an uphill battle, certainly. These kind of scripts, especially embedded that long, they're not easy to flip. But that's where I would start, is knowing that enemy is that inner critic and pushing back against that story. All right, my friends, we're almost at an hour. I gotta cut it. I gotta not do this anymore. Gotta get to bed. Got stuff to do tomorrow. You guys have stuff to do. You don't want to sit in here and hear me talk for over an hour, you know what I'm saying? But thank you so much for being here. Thank you again for everybody for the questions. I hope the rambling wasn't too just like, what is this guy talking about? Hopefully some of that made sense. I tried not to like super get my answers down pat before hopping on here, so it felt more natural, like we're just chatting it up. And if you liked it, again, I don't ever do this, but please like the video, comment, do something that tells me, yeah, do this again. Or if not, let me know that, because we can just nix it and make this a one and done. I thank you again so very much for your time. Everybody who sent in something and everybody who just watched this now. You guys are incredible. You can catch me on Instagram, ls_author, or of course you can subscribe here. I will keep in touch with you. Please keep in touch with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.